Hi everyone, this is John Dehlin, Mormon Stories Podcast. I'm broadcasting to you live this morning, right across the street on South Temple from Temple Square. You can see the Salt Lake Temple in the background, but more importantly what you can see in the background is Bishop Sam Young, Mormon Bishop Sam Young. We are here to hear his announcement. Sam is, fighting for ProtectLDSChildren.org. He has been fighting tirelessly to get the LDS Church to make two changes to its policies. The first change is to never do one-on-one interviews again with children or youth. And then the second is to stop asking sexually explicit questions. And, he's signed petitions, he has led marches, he's collected essays, he's built a website, he has done so much. He's printed buttons, he's voted in front of an apostle, he's voted opposed, and in General Conference and in many ward and state conferences he's voted opposed until the church changes its policies. But they won't change the policies. They've made a few changes, but they have a long way to go because they're still actually asking sexually explicit questions to youth, which causes shame and depression and suicidality, and sometimes suicide. And they're still meeting one-on-one with children and youth, which is grooming behavior. It's basically teaching children that it's okay for adults who aren't their parents to ask them sexually explicit questions about where they touch themselves, how they touch themselves, who they have physical intimacy with, and how they do it. And that's got to stop. And Sam's announcing a hunger strike today, and he's going to just camp out here across the street from Temple Square. He's going to camp out here for 21 days. He's only going to be drinking water, electrolytes, vitamins, and minerals. He won't be eating, and he's going to be inviting members of the First Presidency Quorum of the 12 to join him to change their policies and have a dialogue. And he's just going to be camping out here. And so I'm here as part of Mormon Stories Podcast to continue our support of Sam. And so Sam is going to make his announcement in just a few seconds, and we are going to cover that. That's why we're here. Thanks for joining us. Anybody want to come on and say hi? Hey, you guys want to come say hi to our listeners? Tell us your name.
I'm Eric Jones.
Eric, why are you here? Next. Wait, don't leave.
I have nieces and nephews that I care about, and yeah, I just think those interviews I think they can mess up a lot of people, not just children too.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us who you are.
Amy Logan, just
here.
Hey,
Amy.
Hey.
Amy's a good friend of the OSF and Mormon Stories.
Yeah, that's right. Just here to support Sam and his heroic effort here. He's just our hero right now. So we live close, walk down. Just happy to be here.
Oh, well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Tell us your name.
Sally Taggart.
Sally, tell us your role in all this.
I've known Sam for a long time. We were in the same ward in Sugar Land, Texas. I don't know a finer man than Sam Young, period. He's been in my top 10 people I've ever known in my life for years. I believe in this cause. I have grandchildren still in the church, and one of my stories is recorded with Sam. So I believe in this. It pulls me from my heart. I want to protect the children. Really about it. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting Sam.
Hi.
Tell us your name.
Stanton Smith.
Hi, Stanton. Where do you live?
I'm here in Salt Lake City.
Okay.
And I'm here to support Sam. He's a great man, and I think he's got a great message. And I'm just here to support.
Well,
thank you.
It sure means a lot. Thanks for showing up on a Sunday morning.
You're welcome.
Oh, look at this. Wait. We got a little baby here.
Who's Elton John?
Elton John? What's your child's name?
Etta.
Etta? And the sign says Matthew 18:3-6, become like children. Loving children equals loving Jesus. Being drowned in sea, greater than offending children. Please listen to Jesus' words. Tell us your name.
My name's Mindy.
Mindy? And why are you here?
I'm just here to support something I believe in. I think it's important. I have 2 little girls, and it's a no-brainer to just let them be raised in a good environment.
Okay. This is being broadcast around the world. This is live streamed. We will be live streaming it around the world as this fast continues for, well, I had a good question. How long? I'll tell you how long that's going to last. Okay, so greetings first of all to everybody that's here and to the people around the world, across the country, around the world, that are interested in protecting the children in the Mormon Church. Today, Protect the Children launches an action called Hunger Strike and Spotlight. A hunger strike is a different name for a fast. We have petitioned, marched, and delivered thousands of accounts detailing the egregious harm being done to our children, all resulting from an outdated, irresponsible, and embarrassing practice: taking minors, all alone behind closed doors and asking sexually explicit questions. No other church in America subjects their children to this. It is time for us to provide the same protections to our children that all society already enjoys. Over time, revelation in the LDS Church has come from 3 sources. I don't know what source the revelation will come from to protect our kids. So the action being launched today is aimed at all 3. By the time Hunger Strike and Spotlight is over, I'm counting on one of these sources to bear fruit and finally protect our little ones. The first source, of course, is the prophets and apostles. I believe that they have already received revelation to completely eliminate one-on-one interviews and sexually explicit questions. Many signs point to this. For example, over the past few months, small incremental changes have been made. Elder Christofferson has read all the stories that our march delivered to the apostles. That is huge. That would mean stories from at least 3,000 children. He commented that many were tragic, that we could learn from them, and that change is coming. Finally, Elder Bednar has been quoted as saying that a tsunami of change is coming. Right at the forefront of any tsunami should be the protection of our precious children. Now, perhaps the reason the apostles haven't announced the full protection of our children is that they feel the membership is not ready for change. We are ready. President Nelson, when you announce this change in policy, you will be revered as a hero. You've made some big changes already. The elders and high priests now meet together. That was a change, and that's all well and good. But it will not be as memorable to your people as your fierce protection of our children. I believe you have received the revelation. We are ready. The second source of revelation has been members themselves. It started in the very beginning with Emma Smith. She was disturbed by tobacco spit on her floors. She complained to Joseph, her husband. He got a revelation. One of our signature commandments, the word of wisdom, was prompted by a mere member, not a prophet. So, my fellow members, I now speak to you. Figuratively, there is tobacco spit putting your children in danger behind closed doors. I'm hoping that my long fast will give members the courage to stand up and speak up, just as President Nelson has counseled us. Parents, protect your children. Don't allow one-on-ones. Never allow sexual questions to your child. Fellow members, make your mind known to the bishop. Share your concerns with your ward members, your friends, and your family. Talk openly about this. My oldest daughter keeps telling me that there are more members who want change than who don't. I know it's hard in our culture to question any policy, but these are our children, not the churches, not the bishops. Let's follow the example of Emma Smith and give the apostles inspiration to pray for a revelation, just like the founder of our church did. So I'm calling my fellow members to step up and not just protect our children, protect the good name of the church. This policy drags the name of our church through the mud. So, but the final source of revelation has come from outside pressure. Polygamy was a doctrine that was never to go away. One had to live it in order to receive the highest reward. All that changed when the full weight and power of the federal government forced a revelation which changed polygamy into a sin. So, now I speak to those who have left the church and who were never members. Please help us. You could be the key to protecting our children. You could be the outside source for the revelation that we desperately need. Please spread far and wide the news that of what we subject our children to. Talk to your neighbors, family, and friends. Bring it up in your churches, your synagogues, and your mosques. Where you have friends or family who are considering joining our church, please brief them on the dangers to their children in the Mormon Church. This is probably not the optimal time for families with kids to join. We have a good church. It is my church. But we don't want to see another story written of egregious harm to a child. Now, my fast has no end date. It will terminate when one of the following triggers is tripped. When the apostles announce the policy that they now have waiting in the wings. 10 words. No one-on-one interviews, no sexually explicit questions ever. When they announce that, my hunger strike is over. The entire church will rejoice at our leaders' wisdom. The second trigger to stopping the fast. I talked about revelation being prompted by members. Who I am looking to now is specifically the bishops. When 10 sitting bishops step forward to protect the children in their own wards, my fast ends. When just 10 of the 30,000 bishops openly state that they have implemented this policy in their congregation. No one-on-one interviews, no sexually explicit questions ever. Number 3, hopefully the third trigger will not be necessary. The fast would end when my wife says it's done. By the way, we've talked about this, the length. She's good with 21 days. She'll be flying down after 14 days to be with me. But I'm hoping that won't be what ends this fast. Over the next days and weeks, I'll be right here in the shadow of the Salt Lake Temple. Each night, we'll be conducting a temple-side chat with an apostle. It will be an opportunity for people to express their thoughts, concerns, and stories about bishop interviews directly to a caring and empathetic apostle. Tonight we've invited the newest apostle, Elder Suarez. I don't know if he'll come. I don't know if he'll be here. But we will have a chair ready and waiting for him. The meeting will roll on regardless of whether or not an apostle graces our presence. Hunger Strike and Spotlight will be an historic event. Something the church has never faced before, something the members have never participated in before. Protecting our children is always the right thing to do. I invite everyone, be a part of history. Be on the right side of history. Do what is right, let the consequence follow. In this case, the consequence will be a safer environment for all LDS children. each night when we have this little temple side chat with an apostle, hopefully an apostle there, at 7 o'clock we are going to change the number. Today is day 2 of our action, Hunger Strike and Spotlight. Tonight at 7 o'clock we'll change that to a 3. Now what we don't want is to have that number continue to climb, not for my sake, for the children's sake. This represents the number of days since we started this action that our children continue to be taken behind closed doors, asked sexually explicit questions, shamed into self-loathing, shamed, put at great risk for all kinds of damages that are documented in the thousands of stories that have been provided this time. So day 2 of allowing our children harm. Tonight, I hope I get a call from the apostles, and this won't go to 3. Okay, that's it.
So I understand, you know, the plight of what you're doing and why this is important, and for parents to be involved in the kind of questions that are being asked to their kids. But, you know, what about instances if, you know, a child, a youth or adolescent can't go to their parents about maybe some type of sexual abuse happening to them, and they have faith in their bishops, and those are the people they feel they can go to? So, like, what would you say to instances like that?
So I said I didn't want to take any questions, especially hard ones. But that was a great question. Thank you. Okay, number one, that's if a child there's sexual abuse in the home and wants to go to the bishop and talk about it, that's super. But it should not be one-on-one interviews. And that bishop is not trained to address sexual things with a kid. They're not trained in sexual abuse. I was a bishop. I'm a salesman, okay? I had no training on how to interact with a child with regard to sexual abuse or anything of the sexual nature. So there should be another person in that room. Once he finds out there might be sexual abuse involved, call in an expert, but always have 2 people in that room. I suggest you make it somebody that child trusts.
I saw an interview where you talked a little bit about your experience with what got you into this movement with your own child and what was revealed to you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So I had found out a year ago last March from a good friend of mine that his son was asked about masturbation. His son, in the interview, do you masturbate? Do you have sex with other boys? He ran out of that room, told his dad marched in the room, told the bishop, I will beat you to a pulp if you ever ask my son a question like that again. Well, they quit going to church, okay? That interview drove them out of the church. Good for them for protecting his son. So a few months after that, well, right after that, I put out on Facebook, is this happening out there? I was flooded with thousands of stories of the horrid damages that have been done out there. I spent many late night hours reading story after story after story that have been sent to me. Tragic. We can't allow this to happen. Okay, finally, I had the courage to ask one of my daughters if she was asked about masturbation. If she was asked a sexually explicit question behind closed doors. So I asked her, were you ever asked about masturbation? She said, yes, Dad, when I was 12. The bishop asked me if I masturbated. I didn't know what it meant. I asked my friends. They didn't know what it was. These are 12-year-olds. So she did what most of us today do when we don't know what something is. She went to Google. I challenge anybody here to go Google masturbation. Here's what she found. She said, Dad, I found what masturbation was. I found how to do it. I found pornography. So we're concerned about pornography. What the heck are we doing driving our children to this? Okay, I was incensed to find out my child, while I'm blithely serving in the church as hard as I can, spending hours every single week serving the church, there's my child behind closed doors, not just once. I asked her, honey, did it ever happen again? All the time. Were the words, she said, all the time. That's her memory, all the time, during those 6 years of being a young woman in our program. I've got 6 daughters. 4 of my daughters were asked sexually explicit questions. That, what caused my gears to engage in my brain and say that was wrong for my children. It's sure as heck wrong when you go to the lengths that it's wrong for everybody. And everybody else knows this, but us Mormons, we gotta get it. We're going to get it.
But what is the point of them asking this question?
Well, supposedly, it's to assess the worthiness of a child for going to the temple or being advanced in the Young Women's program, advanced in the boys program. So that's what it's meant for. But that needs to get out of there completely.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What if people are worried about your health, Sam?
Well, here's what I'd like you to do if you're worried about my health. Every time that thought comes into your head, focus it on the children. We have children that are hating themselves today. Children that are thinking of suicide today. Children that will be attempting suicide in the near future. And how many suicides is it going to take here in Utah before we wise up about it? So, I was at a seminar yesterday and I heard this said, and then I met the man who did the study on it. He said that the preeminent contribution to boys' suicide in the Mormon Church is, anybody know?
Self-love.
Masturbation.
Masturbation shaming. It was specifically masturbation shaming. Now, I would have thought, I mean, we hear a lot about LGBT suicides. That's a huge tragedy, but somehow we're missing what is plainly evident in all of these stories. Story after story after story after story. Shame for masturbation or shame from all the other dirty, gross, disgusting, pornographic questions that bishops across the world are asking their children. That shame. We got to get rid of that shame. We need to catch up to the rest of the world that does not shame their children this way, and so they do not have the same kind of suicide rates that we do right here in Utah with our own children. Protect your children, my fellow members of the church. So, okay, so there it is. You think about my health, I'm going to be fine. People are watching. My wife's not going to let it get out of control. You do something to protect our children. My job is the hunger strike. Everybody else's job is the spotlight. Put a spotlight on this. Share things on social media. Write things. I've seen now a ton of people writing their own stuff. Good. Write your own stuff. Talk to everybody you can talk to. Be creative. Find ways to bring the awareness to a huge point around the world. That's what is going to make this hunger strike and spotlight a truly historic and huge event.
This is John. Thank you guys for joining. Anybody want to make a quick statement?
I will.
McKenna.
Yes,
This is
day
McKenna
one for
Denson.
me. I am standing right beside Sam Young. Today is my first day of the hunger strike, and I will go as long as he does until we get what we need from the church.
All right.
Go Sam!
Thanks for joining us, McKenna.
Hello, my name is Eve.
Hi, Eve.
I came to...
This is my good friend Eve that I've never met before. Came to my rescue on the internet. Hallelujah for Eve.
Eve, do you want to make a
Thank you.
statement for Sam?
I don't know
children?
what my story, which number it is or anything, but I put mine in and I was asked explicit questions, given in detail of what you do and how to do it on masturbation. Since I was living hiding as a transgender person growing up as a child because I was living in fear, this I never told anybody, but except for in my statement I sent. I actually thought I was evil, and I went and got addicted to the questions. I masturbated, thinking that would fix what was wrong with me, and I would be a real boy and not a girl like I knew I was growing up. And it caused an addiction for a few decades. I'm over that now. I kind of had to vote. My vote was to walk away from the LDS Church, but I feel bad about all the children that are still there and can go through. My story slightly has a different slant, but the abuse is abuse, whichever form it takes.
Thank
and
you.
so I'm here to support Sam today.
Thank you, Eve. Thanks for coming.
My story's in the book, but I also just want to say a couple of my kids had some really bad experiences, and one of them was my 12-year-old girl got called in to be Welcome to Young Women, and then it turned into being asked completely inappropriate sexual questions. That was really upsetting to her and confusing. So yeah, I think it's a real thing, and I don't know, there's a ton of damage. Like, I have a lot of thoughts about it, but I'm not good at talking.
Well, give me a hug, I missed you. All right, tell us your name.
My name is Zach, and this is Milo.
Hey, Milo.
I was just doing some research, and I came across Sam on the internet, and I really liked what he was doing. I've followed him this whole time, and just really, really proud of all that he's done. And I feel like since he's done this is now our chance to kind of reach out and to protect all of our children from, the sexually explicit questions and one-on-one interviews. So I'm really excited for what's going to happen the next couple of days.
All right, fist bump.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for coming. See you, Milo.
I've been suicidal over sexual shame, and I want to thank everyone who wrote a story, because reading those stories has helped me a lot. And so I appreciate Sam putting up the place for that. I've read 1 through 200 before I just couldn't read anymore. And I'm sorry for everyone who's had those experiences similar to mine and some worse. So I appreciate all that Sam's doing, and yeah, that's all I have.
Back. This is John DeLynn, outside Temple Square. And just so grateful to be able to support Protect LDS Children. We'll be covering this on Mormon Stories podcast to the extent that we have things to report, but we just want to encourage everyone to support Protect LDS Children, support Sam Young, end this hunger strike. You've heard it here. The way to end it is for an LDS Church apostle or First Presidency member to listen and change the policy. And the two requests are no one-on-one interviews and no sexually explicit questions ever. So that will be one way to end the hunger strike. The second way is for 10 sitting LDS bishops to join with Sam and to promise to stop doing these interviews. So we call on any of you who know any sitting LDS bishops to let them know about this and to see if they're willing to sign on. As Sam mentioned, there are tens of thousands of Mormon bishops out there. We should be able to find 10 who are willing to protect LDS children in this way. And then the third way, of course, is if Sam's situation gets so dire that his wife decides to end the hunger strike. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your support of Mormon Stories podcast. And we'll see you guys again soon as things develop. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care. And we'll see you all again soon.